You're not avoiding exercise, because if you are, you're going to pay a terrible price for it.
Hi everyone, I'm here super excited in this new episode. Actually, right now I'm with one of my favorite persons, a big motivation, and I hope after this episode you get your ass up and start motivated. I'm here with Vinnie Becker. Hi Vinnie, how are you?
I'm very well and very happy to be here.
Exactly, here to motivate everyone and tell us a little bit more about your story.
Okay.
So Beanie, just so you know a little bit more about her, for me, she's an athlete. Even though she says, I'm not an athlete, she definitely is, because she works out basically 6 times a week. She does golf, plays tennis, works out, very active person. And she's gonna tell us how she does it, because sometimes I can't even keep up with her. So tell us a little bit, how did you start to get so busy?
Well, listen, I think, I grew up with a brother who was 2 years older than I was, less than 2 years, as a matter of fact. And I always wanted to compete with him. So whatever he did, I wanted to do. If played.
This started back?
Way back. Now, I'm 80 years old, so let me start with that. I'm 80 years old. So that's what I did. My father encouraged it, my mother did not. She always asked me, why do you have to compete with your brother? I really don't know, but I did. And everything I did pretty well. And so we lived in a neighborhood where all the kids used to go out and play. And I used to love to play anything that they were doing, especially the boys. So that's what I did. So I knew I liked athletics from an early age. I was a very good swimmer. I didn't really play a lot of tennis. I played a little bit of tennis. But everything I did, I remember I played volleyball, and I was not a big kid, but I played very well. I didn't start golf until I was like 50 years old, 52 or 53, and I loved it immediately. And I also started to play tennis very seriously about that same time, and decided that if I was going to do it, I wanted to do it correctly.
I love that.
So,
and what made you switch at 50 to golf and tennis?
Well,
what were you doing before that?
I did a lot of skiing, downhill skiing, cross-country skiing. In the summer, we'd swim. We belonged to a couple of swim clubs. We did everything that we could do. But the weather was a big impediment in Massachusetts. I loved Massachusetts, but the winters were very, very long. Thank goodness for skiing. I'd look out the window every day, and if there was at least a little sun, that was fine. But 20 degrees and sun doesn't help you to want to really be outside that long. But I was fine as long as I could either go cross-country skiing or downhill skiing. And I believe that I had what my husband would call seasonal affective disorder, which means that you needed a lot of light to feel good. And so when I was outside, I did feel good. And after working I had a master's in clinical social work for about 27, 30 years. I started coming down here a little bit longer and a little bit longer every winter. And finally, at some point, I decided that I just didn't want to do the winters there anymore. And so here I am.
How you swifted and you started doing tennis and golf. And how was it hard to start doing it? How did you get into it? Because right now you're really good. Everyone that talks about it, she's like, wow, she's the best. So how did you get to that level?
I'm at a good level for my age and who I play with. Does that mean I'm a pro or anything near a pro? No. But I'm good, and I can move well, and I can hit well. And I really did devote myself to it. I started to do it the right way, which means that I started working with different coaches and learning technique. And if you don't learn technique, you reach a certain, even if you are athletic, you just don't go beyond a certain point. So I worked at it, and I got better and better. Golf is
They're so different.
they're
so
very
that's
different.
why I'm very curious about
well,
it.
you know, it was like I could play tennis in the morning, and you know, because it takes a lot of energy to do that, and golf does too, but it's a little bit more zen, I should say. You know, you're stopping, you're thinking about each shot that you want to make, how far you want to hit it, what club you want to use for it. It's very difficult and very frustrating. I'll never be a great golfer, but I still love it. So, and I
many hours?
did the same thing. I started taking lessons, you know, and got better to a certain point, but I couldn't completely devote myself to golf because I was playing so much more tennis. So, you know, I'm an okay player for a woman who's my age, but I'm not a great golfer by any. You know, I'm definitely a better tennis player than I am a golfer.
How many hours do you play tennis? Like how many times a week? How do you like? Because you need a lot of energy.
Yeah.
You need a lot. You need to plan because
Yeah.
you're a mom, you're a wife. You got to do a lot of stuff, and
Yeah.
on top of this, you have all of these activities.
Here, you know, I have the time to do it. So I would the least amount of time at, you know, on one day that I would play would be an hour and a half. But sometimes I play 2.5, 3 hours a day, sometimes 3 or 4 times a week. And it did reach the point where I started to have a lot of aches and pains, not injuries. I was very lucky that I did not get injured, but I was really, really achy and stiff every morning. And I realized that doing the same activity over and over, you're not really helping other parts of your body, and at the same time, you're overloading on certain types of movements. So that just doesn't help.
What change did you make so you are able to keep on playing? What did you change
Well,
to make it better?
My back started to really bother me a lot. So I went to see a doctor who is in pain management. I said, you know, I think I was 75 at the time. You know, my back is really bothering me a lot, and I don't know what to do for it. So he ordered an MRI, and he told me that I had a lot of arthritis, bulging discs, and also a narrowing, which is very typical for my age. And so he sent me for about 12 sessions of physical therapy. It helped a little bit. But about maybe a year ago, one of the gals I played tennis with told me that she and her husband had started working with a trainer, and that she was really terrific. And I thought, you know, maybe it's time we started working with a trainer. I didn't even know what we were going to do. But that's when I started with this wonderful woman who, in the beginning, I thought, how am I ever going to, this is more difficult than anything I do. My husband and I have 2 sessions a week, an hour each time. My husband calls her the dominatrix and says she must lie in bed and think of torturous exercises for us to do.
This is recorded.
But I'll tell you, it's been amazing. I used to have to wear a very, you know, tight belt to get into the car, out of the car. I thought, you know, this is probably the end for me. I don't need it anymore. I feel terrific. I just feel great. And not only that, it's made me a lot stronger in terms of my tennis and my golf. So
You're even a player.
So when one of the gals that I play with, the one who introduced us, she said to me, "I just can't believe how you play." And I thought to myself, well, it's because you told me to, you know, use a trainer, and it's really helped. So that's basically it.
So that would be the recommendation. Like once you started, like you gotta do a variation. You gotta have strength training in order to do better on your tennis and on your golf.
You know, I
Yeah,
used to
absolutely.
watch tennis on TV, all these great tennis players, or go watch them down in Delray or down in Miami. And the interesting thing is I used to think, well, wow, they have great bodies. It never occurred to me that the great body does not come from the playing tennis. The bodies come from the amount of strength training and flexibility training, and it's constant and ongoing for them. That's how they get to look the way they are. So I understand it now, and it's the best thing I've ever done. Now I worry that Daniela is going to decide, well, I can get a job working for a team somewhere. They probably need a coach, and she won't be available. So now I'm worried about that already. So.
No, that's something we don't have to worry at all. So going back here, how do you organize your day? At what time do you wake up to make sure? Because you eat really good, and I would like you to tell us what is that you eat. I know you hydrate throughout the whole day, so tell us how your day.
I never hydrated as much as when I started to work out with Daniela. She told me it's just much more important than you think. You must keep hydrating throughout the day. So I used to drink while I was playing tennis, and then when I left, I didn't even think about it, Now I make sure that I drink a lot more water, and that does help. And I know that I used to get really tired in the afternoon, and I realized it was from
dehydration.
Dehydration. So I always ate a lot of protein because that was one of the ways that I knew that I wasn't hungry all the time. But as it turns out, it's really important to help stave off or avoid injuries, because I think that's one of the reasons. I mean, yes, I did have problems with my back, but at 75 years old, that's what happens when you haven't really built up your core muscles or your shoulders and So yes, every muscle I have now.
There we go. Yes.
So.
So you wake up.
I wake up very
breakfast?
early. I usually have an egg in the morning in some way. I try not to eat too many carbs because I don't want to keep gaining weight. It's just harder to play if you gain too much weight. So I usually will have maybe one piece of toast with it, an egg, something on top of it, maybe some avocado. This morning I took some lentils that I made for dinner the other night. I made the toast, I put a piece of cheese on it, melted the cheese, put the egg on top of that, and put the lentils, which were delicious tomato sauce, on top of that, and that's what I had for breakfast. And for lunch, I tried to maybe have some chicken by itself, because I can't just eat 3 big meals a day. I find I gain weight, so I don't want to do that too much. So I'll have a very, sort of just a little bit of protein for lunch, and then I eat a normal dinner, but lots of vegetables.
What is a normal dinner for you?
Some kind of protein, chicken. I like steak, I have to say. I don't have it very often, but maybe once every 2 weeks I'll have a nice, piece of steak. I do eat pork. I love it. A part of the pork that has no fat on it, which is just like the part of that tenderloin of pork. It has no fat on it. It's a great piece of meat to eat. And I put some, garlic and some
seasoning to make
seasoning on it, and maybe a little honey. And we eat pretty simply, unless we're having company. I'm not a big snacker, but there are a few things that I love. I do like chocolate, so I will have either 2 pieces of chocolate in the afternoon after I've had a little bit of chicken, or I happen to love, I love these chocolate-covered pretzels that you get at Whole Foods. And they're very, very good, so I'll let myself have 2 of them. So Other than that, I'm not a big cake eater, or I don't really like it that
Sweets.
much. I'm not a big sweet eater. No.
Okay, so
Just
that's
certain things, yeah.
That's what keeps you in the shape you are.
Well, hopefully.
And how much water do you say you're drinking now every day?
Okay, probably not as much as Daniela would like me to drink, but I drink probably 4 whole glasses of water every day. After I've played tennis, I'll come home and I will probably drink a bottle of seltzer myself. I just find I keep pouring it and pouring it because having just some while I'm playing is not nearly enough. If I've played for 3 hours, I know I better drink. The other thing is that since I've started working out with Daniela, I don't get cramps anymore. I used to wake up in the middle of the night with the worst cramps on my calves and even up my thighs that were so painful. It's not happening anymore.
So you're stronger.
I'm
You're
stronger,
eating
and
better.
I do much more flexibility exercises after I exercise and before I exercise. So I don't have cramps anymore, which is a miracle. That was really
And you're
great.
eating great. You're super active.
Yeah.
So
I'll do it as long as I can.
You'll be there doing it for a really, really long time. So what would be the recommendation? You said you started golf and tennis at your 50s. So for somebody that is trying and say, okay, I wanna do tennis, I wanna do golf, or I wanna start any sport, and they're not as athletic as you were like growing up, what would be the recommendation for them?
I would say you have to go to a gym and you have to work with somebody there so that you at least get a program that you can follow. And you have to have someone tell you, are you doing it correctly or are you going to injure yourself? Because if you don't learn how to use the weights properly, you're going to get hurt. And so they have plenty of people there who can help you. You watch other people. That's very, very important because it gives you strength. There's no doubt about it. And if you can have a personal trainer, that would be even better. If there's a sport that you do like, then do it and know that you might not be great in the beginning, but you'll get better. How many people have started pickleball? You know, they weren't tennis players, but it seems like a sport that is handleable. You have to be careful in the beginning if you're not used to moving your feet quickly, that's for sure. But if you do all of that and you take proper lessons, and there are lots of ways to do it because there are plenty of group lessons, so you don't have to be that expensive either. So I play with a group on Mondays where each hour costs each of us about $25. That's nothing, So that's what I recommend.
So find a group of people, have a good coach either for strength training and for the sport that they
Right.
choose. That's a great recommendation. And how about the hardest part when you're talking with people, they say, oh, I don't know what to eat, I don't know how to eat. How would you recommend them to choose the best things for them?
Everybody is very different. I mean, I know I can eat more in the morning. I have to, because to tell you the truth, if I don't eat enough, after playing an hour and a half, I start to feel like I'm losing energy. But if I eat a nice big breakfast and I take something with me, maybe a power bar, whatever. I have taken a Coca-Cola with me, believe it or not, because that has whatever you need. It has
Sugar.
It has everything. It has sugar. It has salt. It's fine, and my body can handle that. I never used to do that, but I can do that. If I'm playing 3 hours, I think nothing of having a Coca-Cola.
No, definitely that's gonna evaporate with all the activity you're doing. So there are days that I know you wake up, you have your regular meal, you go play tennis, you do your strength exercise, and then you go play golf.
Yeah.
How do you manage those days? How do you organize? So you have like all the energy, all the stamina, and the same good game that you always have. How do you do on those days?
On those days, you make sure that you have plenty of fluid. if you have an hour and a half to lie down and read something or take a rest, do it, you know. That is just a wonderful luxury. Take it if you can. And then I get up and I do it, you know. I just do it.
Just do it. Get up and do it. So you told us you're 80 years old, and you hear a lot of persons that are in their 50s, probably 60s, that use as an excuse saying, oh no, I'm too old to start this sport. I'm too old to start working out. What would you tell them, and how would you motivate them to like definitely get up and start doing whatever they want to do?
If they like sports, they'll find something that they really will enjoy, and they'll get better at it. But we have lots of friends that are not into sports, but they do things like they walk a lot, they walk fast enough so that they are getting decent exercise, or maybe they ride a stationary bike at home, or if they want to ride a bike on the streets in Florida, good luck to them. But
Exactly, good luck.
no, on Cape Cod, where we go in the summer, we have fabulous bike trails. You don't have to go in the street at all. Hundreds of miles of bike trails. So I do that a lot, you know. When I first get to the Cape, there's nothing much doing because the weather's not great not even until the beginning of June. I get there usually in the middle of May. So I'm just waiting for the weather to change, so a nice day that I can finally get out on my bike. In Florida, I actually have a stationary bike because I don't like biking outside here at all. But if there's too many days of rain, I get on my bike, you know, and that's what I use. So you just have to find what you like, and as long as you're doing right by your body, meaning you're respecting your body by eating well, by taking care of your body, and you're not avoiding exercise, because if you are, you're going to pay a terrible price for it. Not only in not being able to move well, but in terms of your heart, your blood pressure. Those are, you know, my husband used to say to me, you know, it's not so terrible getting old. What's terrible is realizing way too early that you have no more strength, that you have terrible health problems because you haven't taken care of yourself, and you suffer for that. Now, I know that everybody at some point, you know, as they get older, is going to suffer in some way. You know, we're not immortal. I wish we were, but we're not. But if you take care of your body and you give it the respect it deserves, it does take care of you.
That's definitely,
you know,
a great piece of advice. Like, listening to that, like, motivates and let us keep on going. That's absolutely right. And now I have a question for you. Like, you're so busy with your sports and everything. When do you have fun? What do you do for fun? When do you see your friends? When do you kids?
I see them.
Husband?
Mostly, I play with people that I enjoy.
Okay.
I play golf with people that we enjoy. It's a very social game, golf, and so is tennis in its way. So I would say that, but I do have other friends. We meet for dinner. You know, we try not to eat out too often because, you know, what the food is like. Besides being not worth the price you're paying for it at most restaurants these days, it's made with a lot of salt, you know, and not the healthiest thing in the world to be eating out all the time.
What do you choose when you go out? Let's say you have a birthday and it's in any restaurant. What's your go-to?
I usually choose pretty simple things. I like, for example, farm to table. They have very nice things. It's not that cheap, but it's decent, very decent food. After I play golf, sometimes we'll go to Duffy's, because at Duffy's I can get grilled salmon and even a baked potato and some broccoli, and that's wonderful. I'm happy with that. So I don't feel guilty about it. I can enjoy that, and it fills me up. So that's basically the way we eat.
That's amazing. And alcohol, do you drink any?
Yeah. I will have when we're home alone, I don't really drink. But when we're out, if I've played golf, for example, we finished golf yesterday at about 5:30 in the afternoon, and we went up to the 19th hole. And on Fridays, it was a Friday, you could get a $6 martini.
Okay, sounds fun.
So
yes.
I get a Cosmo, not a martini. I just like it a little bit better. So I have one, but that's all I can really handle. But one is enough. You feel it. So.
No, after all the activity,
Yeah.
I bet you definitely.
So no, I mean, there were days, in our lives that we used to be with friends and drink quite a bit. But, you just can't keep doing that as you get older. And I'm not going to give it up altogether, but I try to be, a little bit more conservative, that's all.
That's great. No, that's amazing. So like you have a very balanced life.
Yeah.
And when you go to the supermarket and you're choosing your food, what is it that you look for when you're buying something? Because there's a variety of things, and there's like a lot of myths of saying organic, no organic, and whatever things that are going on. What do you choose?
Well, we only eat organic produce. First of all, my husband is an organic gardener, and he goes to the farmer's market on Cape Cod once a week, and he sells his stuff there. And what he doesn't have, I'll go around and see who else might have some really good things. Here in Florida, I go to Trader Joe's, I go to Whole Foods. I'll even go to the Boys, but I try not to because it's too crowded all the time, and you just get knocked around when you go in there. We buy all organic stuff.
So that's why, like, that would be the big difference between going to the other supermarkets, that these ones specifically are.
You go to Publix, they have very few organic products in vegetables. They're very expensive, and they look terrible. Publix is not cheap to begin with. So, I think that I might as well go to a place like Whole Foods. I know it's fairly expensive, but they have good deals all the time too,
And also you're giving it to your body, so you're choosing what to eat. Exactly. So like Trader Joe's and Whole Foods would be a good place to get better quality of food if your husband is not providing the fruits and vegetables. And how about meat? Where do you buy it from? Same places, or how do you choose it?
Sometimes if I know that we're going to be having company and I know that people like steak, I'll go to Costco and I'll buy, the 4 steaks there. And usually, that's more than enough. I'll do that once in a while. But mostly I would say I buy organic chicken, and I will buy some pork. But nothing that's, I try to stay away from, once a year I might make a pot roast, but anything potted is just full of fat and gravy and stuff like that. So we stay away from it. Besides which, my husband is a total vegetarian, so he can't eat it anyway, so I don't make it.
Okay. That's very good advice. And to wrap this up, I have 2 last questions. The first one is, what would you tell to your younger self, let's say 18, 19, 20s, as providing her advice to be like in her activity ways, life ways? What's the piece of advice you would give her to be better when years pass by?
Well, as I said, everybody has to find their own way. For me, I knew I needed a certain amount of exercise. I found ways to do it. If I was up north and it was cold weather, then I'd go cross-country skiing or I'd go downhill skiing. I did go to a gym in the wintertime. I did have a coach for about 3 months who gave me the first program that I'd ever had in what to do and how to use, the weights, etc. So I didn't hurt myself. But, after 3 months, that was it, and I did it. I always kept weights at home. I always had some weights, so I kept doing that. But I wasn't really reaching most parts of my body, the way I do with you. I didn't even know I had parts of that.
Okay, fair enough.
It's just,
So the advice would be start doing strength training when you were younger, when you were 19, 20.
I did. I always did something, but not the way younger people do it now with this dedication to the gym,
Yeah.
I mean, I would go for a couple of months and then I wouldn't go for,
Which is everyone. Any generation is doing this
I
now.
know.
Yeah. And what would you say to that person, to that girl, to that man that is still 19, 20, 21, and their excuse is, oh, I don't have time, oh, I don't have energy, it's too cold, it's too hot, whatever excuse we put, what would be the thing that you would tell them to keep them up?
One of the things that I started to do right around the time that I had my second child, and I was getting sick all the time, and I was in graduate school, and there was a course about what effect exercise has on the body. And one of the things I learned is that the more exercise you do, the more it affects your immune system, your T cells, that they definitely increase. Do they increase from meditation? No. Did they increase from just yoga? No. But they did increase from doing aerobic, and at that time, so what I did was they used to have jazzercise, and and then it went on from there to all kinds of that kind of dancing, which I loved also. I used to really enjoy that, and I stopped getting sick. I mean, once a week I still have the same sore throat and swollen glands, and it was like, why? And once I started, matter of fact, I went one day when I had a low-grade fever and I felt lousy, and I forced myself to go. By the end of that session, I had no symptoms, and when I did learn that there is such a thing as an immune system that can be enhanced by exercise, it started to mean a lot more to me. So
that's absolutely. Anything you want to tell us to keep us going, to keep us motivated?
Well, I'll tell you one thing about working out with Daniela, and that is, it's really the best thing I could do for my age. It certainly is the best thing my husband could do for his age also. It's because if I were doing it by myself, if I didn't feel like doing it right then, maybe I wouldn't do as many reps as she would make me do. She is there. She's putting in her time with me, and out of respect to her as well, I'm doing it. That's it, I will do the best I can, because it's definitely a joint effort, It's not me alone. I could never do this by myself, but it's been worth it. So
thank you very much for sharing all of this experience, all of these tips. I bet everyone that is watching this is going to get, definitely, if they're watching, they're going to go to the treadmill and keep on watching to start moving and keep on going.
I hope she edits a lot. That's all I can say.
I don't think there is much to edit here. It was perfect. I love it.
Right.
Thank you very much. And
You're very welcome, and thank you.
We can do this again, we can show you cooking something.
When I'm 90, we'll do it again. Okay?
Of course, and you'll keep on showing your muscles. Thank you.
Okay.
That was fun.